Angela Johnson sat on the worn couch in her small but tidy apartment, folding baby clothes into neat piles. Her 6-year-old son, Marcus, was sprawled on the floor with his crayons, humming quietly as he drew a picture of their family. "Look, Mommy," Marcus said, holding up his drawing. It was a colorful image of a smiling stick family, complete with Angela's round belly and a tiny stick baby in her arms. "It's beautiful, baby," Angela said, smiling despite the ache in her back. At 34 weeks pregnant, everything felt heavy, her body, her legs, even her thoughts. But her excitement about meeting her baby girl kept her going. "Do you think the baby will like dinosaurs?" Marcus asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. Angela chuckled. "She'll love them if her big brother teaches her all about them." For a moment, everything felt normal, peaceful even. But then a sharp pain sliced through Angela's abdomen, making her gasp and drop the onesie she was folding. "Mommy," Marcus said, his voice laced with panic. Angela clutched the edge of the couch, her breath hitching. "It's okay," she said, though her voice trembled. "Mommy just needs to rest." The pain didn't stop. It came in waves, each sharper than the last, until Angela was doubled over on the couch, her forehead damp with sweat. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Marcus asked, tears brimming in his eyes. Angela forced a smile, though every muscle in her body screamed, "I'm okay, baby. I just need some help." She reached for her phone with trembling hands and called her neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, a retired nurse who had become a surrogate grandmother to Marcus. "Mrs. Jenkins," Angela said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need help. I think something's wrong with the baby." Within minutes, Mrs. Jenkins was at the door, her face a mix of worry and determination. "Marcus, stay here with Miss Robinson, okay? Mommy and I are going to the doctor." "But I want to come with you," Marcus cried, clutching Angela's arm. Angela knelt down, biting back a wave of pain as she looked into his teary eyes. "Mommy's going to be okay, baby. You stay here and be a big boy for me, okay?" Marcus nodded reluctantly, and Angela kissed his forehead before Mrs. Jenkins helped her into the car. The rain was relentless, hammering against the windshield as Mrs. Jenkins navigated the dark streets. Angela gripped the seat, her breath shallow as another contraction tore through her body. "Breathe with me, Angela," Mrs. Jenkins said, glancing at her in the rearview mirror. "I don't feel her moving," Angela whispered, her voice trembling. "She's not moving." "She's okay," Mrs. Jenkins said, though her knuckles were white against the steering wheel. "We're almost there." The red lights seemed to stretch forever, each second an eternity. Angela pressed a hand to her belly, praying for a kick, a flutter, anything. "Please, God," she whispered. "Please don't take her from me." The emergency room at Mercy General was crowded, but Angela's pain and fear blurred everything into the background. Mrs. Jenkins wheeled her to the front desk, her voice firm as she addressed the receptionist. "She's 34 weeks pregnant and in severe pain," Mrs. Jenkins said. "She needs to be seen immediately." The receptionist barely looked up. "Do you have insurance?" Angela's heart sank. "I don't have insurance," she said, tears streaming down her face. "But I can pay. Please, just help me." The receptionist's expression hardened. "Without proof of insurance or payment up front, we can't admit you. You'll need to go to the county hospital. She's in labor." Mrs. Jenkins shouted, her voice shaking with fury. "You can't just send her away." "We're at capacity," the receptionist said coldly. "There's nothing we can do." Angela clutched her belly, her sobs breaking through. "Please," she whispered. "Something's wrong. I think my baby's in trouble." The receptionist didn't even look at her again. Angela couldn't stop crying as Mrs. Jenkins helped her back into the car. "Why wouldn't they help me?" she sobbed. "What if we're too late?" Mrs. Jenkins gripped the steering wheel tightly. "This isn't your fault, Angela. The county hospital will help you. Just hold on." The rain seemed to mock them as it poured harder, blurring the headlights and making every turn feel treacherous. Angela whispered a prayer with each contraction, her tears mixing with the rain on the window. The moment they arrived at the county hospital, Angela was rushed into a triage room. Doctors and nurses surrounded her, their voices calm but urgent. "The baby's heart rate is dropping," the doctor said after an ultrasound. "We need to perform an emergency C-section immediately." Angela's world spun. She gripped Mrs. Jenkins's hand as tears streamed down her face. "Please, save my baby." "You're in good hands, Mrs. Jenkins said, though her voice cracked with emotion. Angela was wheeled into the operating room, the fluorescent lights blinding. Her last thought before the anesthesia took hold was a prayer for her daughter. Angela woke up hours later, groggy and sore. Her first thought was of her baby. "Where is she?" Angela asked, panic rising in her chest. A nurse placed a hand on her shoulder. "Your daughter is in the NICU. She's stable, but there were complications." The delay in getting care caused severe distress. Angela's heart shattered. This didn't have to happen. As Angela sat by her baby's incubator, watching her tiny chest rise and fall with the help of a machine, anger replaced her fear. She thought about all the mothers who had been turned away, all the babies who might not have survived. "I can't let this happen again," Angela told Mrs. Jenkins. "Not to anyone else." Angela reached out to Rebecca Torres, a tenacious civil rights attorney. Sitting across from Rebecca in a small office, Angela recounted every painful detail of that night. Rebecca's eyes narrowed. "What they did was illegal," she said. "Under federal law, hospitals are required to provide emergency care, no matter what. We're going to fight this." The courtroom buzzed with tension as Angela sat at the plaintiff's table, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Across the room sat Mercy General's lawyers, their expressions confident. Rebecca began her opening statement with fire in her voice. "This case isn't just about Angela Johnson. It's about every patient who has ever been denied care because of their race, their income, or their insurance status. It's about holding institutions accountable for valuing profits over human lives." The hospital's lawyers argued that Mercy General was overwhelmed that night and couldn't safely admit Angela. They claimed her condition wasn't critical and that she could have waited for care. Rebecca countered with damning evidence, security footage showing Angela doubled over in pain while the receptionist ignored her. Records revealed a pattern of discrimination against uninsured patients. "This wasn't an isolated incident," Rebecca said. "This was a systemic failure." Angela's voice shook as she took the stand. "I went to Mercy General that night because I trusted they would help me," she said. "Instead, they turned me away like I didn't matter. My baby almost didn't survive because they didn't think we were worth saving." Her words brought the courtroom to hushed silence. Even the hospital's lawyers seemed shaken. After weeks of testimony, the jury ruled in Angela's favor. Mercy General was ordered to pay a multi-million-dollar settlement and implement sweeping reforms, including mandatory bias training for all staff. Angela used part of her settlement to start Justice for Mothers, a nonprofit dedicated to fighting healthcare discrimination. Her daughter, Hope, grew stronger every day, and Angela found purpose in helping others. Angela's story is a reminder that change is possible when we stand up for what's right. Now we want to hear from you. What's healthcare like in your country? Have you ever faced discrimination? Share your story in the comments, and let's work together to ensure everyone gets the care they deserve. Your voice matters. Join the conversation.